What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Retro Movie Podcast, the podcast where everything is connected. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson, and joining me is my co-host, friend, and the person most likely to get an obscenely sized monster truck, go down to the local car dealership, and just run over all the cars. Alex Perkins. Perk, how are you doing tonight?
I'm well, thanks. I haven't done that in years.
Yeah. When was the last time?
Back in 2009. I was 13. I was going through a wild streak.
Yeah. You hit up the local Ford dealership, or?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I feel you. They always get you, and you gotta fight back sometimes.
I got mad because there was like a small defect on my Ford Mobile, so I ran through the entire dealership.
There you go. No consequences, and you're still here today.
Yep, precisely.
Well, welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the podcast where every week Perk and I review a movie that's connected to the last one we watched. If you like our show, we post every Friday on podcast services and now YouTube, so go check that out. But yeah, tell your friends about it. Come watch movies with us. But last week we watched a little movie called Point Break, an absolute classic. And I said we need more Swayze, so we watched this week a movie called Roadhouse. Perk, why don't you intro it for us?
Yeah, right. Roadhouse is a 1989 joint directed by Rowdy Harrington. Great starring Patrick Swayze, some other people probably, but
Keith David.
Yeah, Keith David, Sam Elliott, Kelly Lynch. Yeah, and it follows our main character who just like obnoxiously has no last name. It's just Dalton.
I didn't realize that. Yeah,
he's a cooler at bars where he straightens them up and gets the tough customers out and sews up his own wounds and that kind of stuff.
There we go.
Yeah, a couple little fun facts. According to Kelly Lynch, every time Bill Murray saw this movie on TV, he called her husband to tease him about the sex scene.
Okay. Was she like hanging out with Bill Murray a lot?
I assume they are friends.
Yeah, okay.
No, like he called, Bill Murray called her husband.
Gotcha.
To give him guff over the Patrick Swayze sex scene.
All right, well that's a little okay.
Just every time, just hey buddy, guess what's on the TV? And then filming was kind of tough because Patrick Swayze was Patrick Swayze at the time. And so like cars of women would just like pull up directly to his trailer to try and meet him. And there was an extra on set who was too absorbed staring at him and tripped with like a full platter of glasses and stuff. Because Patrick Swayze be like that.
Yeah, I was worried you were going to say he was being himself, as in like he was like an asshole. But no, it's just the people couldn't stop looking at him.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, So, Perk, normally, when one of us has seen the movie already, they defer to the other person to let them go first. I'm cutting that off, all right? I want to go first.
You're not going to allow me.
I'm not going to allow it, okay? Because here's what I got to say about this movie. I think the first third to maybe the first half of this movie, near perfect, okay? You got fucking Patrick Swayze being as cool as can be, coming in. He knows what he wants. He knows what he needs. He's here to fix the bar, and he's damn good at it, all right? You got the cartoon villain of the town. You got the love interest. It's a great time. Now, unfortunately, and I remembering when I watched this the first time, when watching it again, because like I'm watching it last night. I'm like, man, this movie's so fucking good. And then the second half of the movie starts in like the third act, and I'm like, why does it get so goddamn messy at the end of this movie? Like, what is going on? Why are these characters doing what they're doing? And the ending is just laughable. So it's just, I wish this movie was better. I don't know if it's the editing or the script, but I think it starts out so strong, and then it really falls apart in the end, which is just so sad, because I really have a soft spot for this movie. I think the premise is great, and it's a really fun time, but I think it just really falls apart at the end, unfortunately.
Fair enough. My turn. Am I allowed?
You're allowed to go.
I have like no problems at all with this movie. None whatsoever. It was fun. It was so fun all the way through. I disagree. I thought the messy part at the end was awesome. I thought it totally went off the rails. I mean, he
so
literally rips out a guy's throat. Just the ending, which you said is like comical. You're right, but the ending is like, okay. So as it's been known on this podcast, I watched the indie, the A24, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Where generally there's a movie with no plot, and then the dog dies, and then the guy jumps off a bridge. Like, that's the type of movie I watch. This movie, the ending is like stand up and cheer type cathartic. It's just like, oh no, he's gonna spare him, and then it's like, nope. Everybody shoots him.
Literally everyone comes
in. All of the people in the town. They just decide, nope, you're dead.
Well, because we're skipping to the end of this movie, because that's the thing. It's like, you're supposed to feel like good that he chooses not to kill him, but it doesn't work because he just killed like 4 guys on his way to get to Brad. Okay, he just stabbed a dude right in the fucking chest. Like, he just killed a bunch of people. I don't like kill Brad and save everybody else. He's the worst guy in the town. So the fact that we're supposed to be like, oh, thank God he didn't kill Brad, but then immediately, he gets the fucking firing squad from all of the guys. It's just like, what was the point of this? And then he still gets the girl at the end.
There's plausible deniability, right? Like the guy that he threw a knife into his chest and then he fell off the balcony and landed face down on the knife in his chest. Maybe it didn't catch anything.
He's still kicking.
Fatal. Yeah, he could be all right. The polar bear guy is fine.
He's fine. I was so happy he was alive because I'm like, how would he have died in that? Like,
from the polar bear falling on him?
Like,
yeah.
How? Whatever. But yeah. So that's the thing, is like the whole bit of like him killing somebody in the past and that like haunting him, and then like Elizabeth getting like mad at him for killing a guy, which like is totally fair. Yeah. I just needed a little bit more exposition on how he was feeling, because a lot of times we just get his kind of facial expressions, and normally I like that. But in the end of this movie, it just got a little bit messy of like, okay, what are the motivations with him? Or not really motivation. What is his emotion? Like, what is his emotional state? And what is he thinking? And, because it gets a bit muddy, and I wish it was a little bit more clear with him.
I disagree.
Okay.
Because Patrick Swayze is just running around without a shirt on, killing people. It's great. A quick aside before I forget it. There's one line in this movie where I'm like, wow, that was like, out of nowhere, shockingly, like, badass, I think.
Well, I wonder if the one I'm thinking about. Is it the one that Jimmy says?
Yeah, he says, I effed guys like you in prison. It's like, whoa!
That came out of fucking nowhere, dude.
Yeah! And, like, that's like, pretty hard, I think.
I think, I don't know. It's so just shocking. I remember the first time I watched this movie, that out loud, I heard that line go, oh my God! Like, it's wild.
I wish though that what's the movie? It's Dodgeball. I think it's Dodgeball.
Okay.
Is it Happy Gilmore? No, I think it's Dodgeball. I eat pieces like shit for you for like, or I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast. You eat pieces of shit for breakfast? Like, I wanted Patrick Swayze to be like, you effed guys in prison?
It's like, you do what you gotta do, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that line just comes out of nowhere. And like, honestly, I'm glad Jimmy dies. Jimmy fucking sucks. All right, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. He gets a pretty epic death, too. He just gets his throat literally clawed out, and then he just gets pushed off into the river.
Yeah, so he's just like, fuck you, Brad, and like throws him across the river to float over. Yeah. Yeah, going back to the beginning of this movie, just I gotta talk about like Swayze.
We should probably talk about the movie as a whole.
Like, Swayze is coming in and is knowing exactly what needs to be done. All right, he showed the first night, he's just clocking everything. All right, that girl's selling drugs. All right, this dude's a temperamental bouncer. He's seeing all the problems, and he's like, all right, I'm fixing this shit immediately. And I love he's got the 3 rules. I love how he goes to like, he gets the shitty car. He buys a ton of spare tires ahead of time, so he fucking knows like what's gonna happen. Like, it's just it's so satisfying to just see him clean up the place.
It's really, and the things you're talking about are really good characterization of like helping the audience understand how good he is at this without telling us.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like little things like him buying up as many spare tires as he can fit in his car. Like, that it just shows that he's been down this road.
It's great. And I love how we see kind of the like evolution of the bar over time as it like visually upgrades as well as it gets like nicer. And that makes sense because the guy's like, I came into money, I want to clean up the place. So he's, funding everything. And it's just like super satisfying to watch. And I really, the whole first half, like I said, I think it's just pretty much perfect. Watching all that kind of go down.
Another fun fact I forgot to mention, but maybe you knew this: the guitarist and singer is blind.
So is he actually blind?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I knew he was like blind. The character was blind. I didn't know if the actor.
I couldn't even tell that the character was blind until I looked it up, and I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. No, he was great.
Yeah, that's where he gets the cool like laying the guitar across his lap.
Yeah, it's
style.
sick. Well, all the music they're playing is fucking awesome. I love the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, it is.
Of the movie.
If you're gonna, because it's the Jeff Healey band is a real band, so like if you're gonna bring in a band, this is like the absolute best way to do it, and the whole vibe of their music fits perfectly in the setting.
Yeah, and I also
I love when they're behind a chain link fence.
I was just about to say that. Like, I love how you were saying with like Swayze characterization. It's just kind of show don't tell. It's the same thing with the bar. Like, you show up, it's like the fact that the band is behind a cage, this is a bad place, right? And people are throwing bottles constantly. There's a bar fight that breaks out, and people are getting absolutely wrecked.
I absolutely love the scene when he comes into the bar and just everything is hitting the fan.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so great. It's just like an awesome set piece. They got the goofy like breakaway tables and smashing bottles all over. It was super fun.
And also he has this like legendary status. Like, people have heard of him. It's like, oh, it's Dalton. He killed a guy down in Memphis. You ripped his throat out. Like that's hinted at, like, at the beginning of the movie. I think when he first shows up, someone mentions that, like, oh, he ripped a guy's throat out. He's like, no way, but that's
no way.
That's what happened. Yep. That's his ultimate move. So yeah, he's just so fun to watch. So I have to ask you, I'm sure you maybe caught it in opening credits. Like, what did you think about Sam Elliott showing up and being like the mentor?
So I knew he was in it, but this is another one of those movies where I can't conceptualize Sam Elliott not being an old man. Or he showed up and I'm like, oh my God, Sam Elliott used to not be an old man.
I mean, he's still got gray hair in this.
Yeah, but it's like only partially gray. It's like this must have been from ancient time. No, I thought it was awesome. He is 150% the perfect casting for that role.
Yeah,
100%. No one could possibly be better than Sam Elliott for that. Because he's got the gravitas, he's got the old Southern drawl, and he's believable as like a tough guy. And they have some scenes of him beating up guys. I think it's so good. I think they have such a good dynamic together.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think when the first time I watched it, I didn't see him in the opening credits, so I popped so hard when he showed up. I'm like, that's fucking Sam Elliott. And he's like a main character, and he's the mentor. He's the legendary Wade Garrett. He's even more legendary than Dalton is. And I'm now realizing how stupid it is that Dalton doesn't have a last name, because Wade Garrett's got a last name. But
everyone. Well, actually, I don't think the Doctor has a first or last name.
Which doc? Like Elizabeth Clay?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Sorry. She was she did not have a lot of character depth, so I forgot.
Yeah. I actually want to ask you too, speaking of like love interest, did you think that, I think her name is Denise, was going to be the love interest? Because she tries giving him the eyes in the beginning?
Well, initially, yes. And I don't really understand what her character is there for.
Yeah, that was kind of half-baked.
Other than to like show that Brad Wesley's bad and maybe hint that he has a thing for hot blondes, I guess. But yeah, like the scene where she's beaten up at doing aerobics at his house, and I don't really understand what her character necessarily needed to be there for, but if not just another excuse to show a topless woman.
So many
they didn't even need excuses, really. They're just they're going for it, they're leaning into that R rating.
Yeah, I think when I first watched it, when she like shows up, I'm like, oh, she's gonna be the love interest, and I like that kind of fake out. But I agree, her character, I think it could have been a good character and like useful to the story, but they kind of just forget about her, and then they have her like strip at the end. It's like, okay, but like I was hoping that after we see that like Jimmy like beat her, that she was gonna help out somehow or like come around, but she just kind of just still plays into Brad's stuff. And I agree, he's just kind of there to show that he like gets jealous easily, which like no shit, he's a movie villain. But yeah, and that's the thing. Really, this movie is 2 hours. It definitely did not need to be. I think there's a lot of scenes that could have been cut.
You could cut it down to 90 minutes if you get rid of all the sex scenes and just like bare-breasted women scenes.
Yeah, 100%.
But then a lot of people who went to see this movie probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, you're maybe right. I don't want to believe that, but you're probably right. This is a very
maybe that was a sweetener. Maybe the idea was if we put a bunch of topless women in here, then the guys who got dragged to the Patrick Swayze movie will have a good time too.
I get because this is post.
It is dancing, absolutely right? Not a chick flick, but
yeah, as I say, this is a like an action movie. I assume
Patrick Swayze was a draw, regardless of whatever movie.
Yeah, I suppose. Another thing that I feel like could have been cut. This isn't such a nitpick, but it just really sticks out to me. Is the scene? It's the morning after he fires the bartender, and then Carrie shows up with like breakfast. She's like, "You shouldn't have done that." And it's like, we already knew that. Like the way the bartender was acting, he's like, "Are you sure?" We knew something was up.
Yeah.
And the scene of her like bringing him breakfast was just like, we didn't need that. And then she's not really a character. Like if that was to develop her character and have her around more, would have been fine. But then all of a sudden she can like sing.
Not in the movie anymore.
Yeah. We found out she can like sing, which I don't buy that for a second because obviously somebody else singing over her. But right. It was just a weird thing of like, we already got the foreshadowing that the bartender was up to something. You didn't have to like slam it in my face, which I just thought it was weird because the rest of the movie is pretty good, but not having too much exposition. But I don't know. Like that's what I'm saying. This movie could be cut down to, like I said, 90 minutes, I think, pretty easily.
Definitely.
But yeah, speaking about Sam Elliott again and like their relationship, that's another one where it's like, I wish it was a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more clear. Because like, obviously they're buds, but there's some conflict and like Elliott calls him out for like still living in the past. And then they like kind of fight and Elliott leaves. Then he comes back and he dies. And it's just like, and that's the part where I'm like, Swayze, where's your head at? Like, because obviously you're not over you killing a dude because then you killed Jimmy. So like, I don't know. That's where it gets really muddy. And I wanted a little bit more strong like character development or like a more clear arc. And that's where I think this movie could have been like a lot better. And yeah, it's cool to see him kill a bunch of guys at the end, but I don't know. It just really just devolves into just like classic action movie, and they could have been like a step above that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that their relationship is pretty well fleshed out, and I think Wade Garrett's death is kind of what pushes him over the edge. Yeah, that's why he goes on the rampage. And it's not ever spoken, but he's obviously like a father figure.
Yeah, definitely,
and you know, a mentor and. Clearly, this is a guy who never stays in one place too long, so he has very few lasting relationships. And I mean, up until Elizabeth, it's like just Wade Garrett, seemingly. Mm-hmm. Like that's about it. Other people just know of him, but don't like know him. So
yeah, well, and that's the other thing too. Is like, again, maybe I'm just I don't know, being too critical, but it's like, does he want to stay just because of Elizabeth, or is it also because of like? He sees how bad Brad is, or is he also like become friends with Red and like the owner of the Double Deuce? Like, what is the thing that's keeping him there the most, and why does he fall in love with the town? It's all kind of implied, but like I don't know. I wanted a little bit more of just him. I guess being more clear about his feelings, and maybe like having a scene where he like kind of, I mean, he does kind of flip out when he kills Jimmy, but like him flipping out about the indecision of like I normally leave and I have to stay, or you know, I'm going to hurt somebody again. I don't know. I need like one scene where he just really like lets it all out, and we don't get that.
I disagree pretty much entirely. Okay, I don't think it's ever in question what his like motivations are. I think you're right. I think it's like all of those things, and they do a pretty good job of exemplifying that. Like they show his concern for Emmett when his house gets exploded. Every building just explodes in this movie.
So many massive explosions.
Like his concern, like he runs into a burning building to make sure Red's okay, and I think he's developed a relationship with the people. He has a natural hate against this like egalitarian, oppressive douchebag, and the girl he loves who lives there and doesn't want to leave. I think that there's plenty enough laid out without him having like a soliloquy on the rooftop like, oh, woe is me. I really love Elizabeth and also this town.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's the fact that like I assume in every town he has to work, he makes some relationships with like the auto parts shop guy, because I imagine this kind of thing happens every single time where his car gets fucked up, because we know, because he prepares for it. So it's like, that doesn't seem like out of the ordinary, and like finds a place to live every time. And I'm not saying he falls in love every time, but like those seem like just part of his to-do list of like, find a good auto shop, find a shitty car, find a place to live, and like maintain those relationships enough where I don't have any issues. It's like, why is this one different, you know?
Well, the difference may be that none of the other places he's worked were ruled by a domestic terrorist.
But he said, I've seen like guys like Brad a million times. Like, why is this one the difference where he's going to stick around and actually fight him, you know?
I don't know, though. I feel like it would be so out of, like, is there really some guy in every small town?
I'm not saying every, but I'm just saying, like, his character says, I've seen guys like him, like, plenty of times, you know? And Elliot's like, let's fucking leave. This is not our problem. Yeah. Indicating, like, they've done this before, but they just leave the towns after certain things happen. So I just needed, why is it different? And maybe it's just Elizabeth, which, like, is whatever.
Maybe it's just a perfect storm. There's just, like, the right amount of motivation.
Yeah.
I don't think him spelling it out would have made for a better movie.
Yeah. And maybe if we just cut it down a bit and had less of these things where nothing really happens, it would help with the pacing.
Quite a bit of filler, yeah. Like, you're not really I don't know. Not the biggest fan of sex scenes in movies, but you're not really developing anything there. We already knew they were in love and just kind of taking some time, but
that scene, and then the scene after Red's place get blown up and Brad's like at the double deuce, and like Denise or whatever name it, I think Denise goes up there and like strips, like that whole thing just took way too long. And then Jimmy's like, somebody fight me, and it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
There's a lot of I think there's a lot of filler to work in topless women.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, because like I said, I think the core of this movie is really solid. What do you think of Brad as the villain?
I think he's great. He's cartoony man in top hat.
Yeah, but it like works. It weirdly works.
It does. He's super believable. He plays the part well. Has to be kind of like, I mean, he literally has to be cartoony, but he plays it with enough nuance that he's not like literally a cartoon. It's just the character he's playing is like unreal evil. Right.
Yeah. Like, I think I think he totally fits in. I think he's totally fine. It would have been a little bit more believable if like his MO wasn't exploding buildings in the like largest way possible, and like a monster truck run through an auto dealership,
wrecking a dealership.
Yeah, it's just like insane shit.
That was my biggest, I think, gripe. I not really a gripe. This is a joke, but that like in real life, what would happen is like immediately Dalton would look at Brad the wrong way and be in jail. Like he would just make up some charge and have his flight of lawyers just like put him in prison for 40 years for like looking at him the wrong way. That's how reality would work. But I'm glad that instead of doing that, he just blows up houses and car dealerships.
And also, like, why'd he blow up Emmett's house but not the barn where he knows Dalton is staying? Like,
he's just kind of going after the periphery.
Like
almost warning shots, I guess, but it's not really a warning shot when you blow up someone's home.
Yeah, and he clearly wants Dalton gone and or dead. It's just wild. And then we get the climax with fucking Red and the Double Loose owner and the auto dealer guy. Shotgunning him so many times. Oh my god.
I love it.
Anything else you want to say about the movie, or any recommendations?
No, I can't think of any. It's a fairly, it's not a genre I go after too often of 90s exploitation action movies, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say like for you. Lethal Weapon, you know.
Oh, sure.
Classic. I mean, that's more of a buddy cop, you know, joint, but
same era,
same kind of general feel. And you know, you got Gary Busey in that, which is, we just saw him last week, and he's fantastic in Lethal Weapon. But there we go. All right, well, that's our review of Roadhouse, and that actually concludes our little break from doing our Asian movies. So we'll reveal our watching next week at the end of this, but we gotta do our bonus reviews first. I'll start us off, Perk. I watched a movie that you recommended.
No way.
Shocker.
You're lying to me.
I had some friends over there, and we watched Rye Lane together.
Oh, nice. I'm curious what you thought.
I liked it. So I wanted to ask you, 'cause I don't know if you mentioned this when we talked about last week. So much fisheye lens.
Yeah, I didn't mention it, but I noticed, there was a lot of fisheye.
I don't know how I feel about it, because like, the benefits are like you feel closer to the characters, and I just closer in the movie, just because like obviously the center feels like up close. But then there's a lot of like blurry, like the backgrounds are very blurry, kind of vignette-y, like very frequently. And it was like I appreciate it, committed to the choice. It's just very unique, and like I hadn't really seen stuff like that before. But I think I liked it. But yeah, I love the characters. I think they had great chemistry. I love the story. I love it's not all in one day, but it mostly is, and I really like that, trope or whatever in movies.
Yeah.
Super funny. Some really funny like cutaways and flashbacks. And like the sets in the world was very vibrant. It almost gave me vibes of like Sorry to Bother You.
Sure.
Not quite that surreal because it's set in the real world, but like that kind of similar vibe,
Yep.
But yeah, no, really liked it. Liked how short it was, and solid ending, and yeah, it was a feel good. But yeah, it was definitely like I think it's a little bit above just stylistically. Like they definitely made some very strong choices with the lenses in particular they used. Like it's a lot of fisheye, and I think it mostly works. But I was definitely took some getting used to, I think.
Yeah, I think so. The way I explained away the fisheye is it has a clear central focus on the characters, but you still get a much larger scope of the scenery of the world.
Yeah.
Because if it's a shot of just the two of them walking, you only might get one building at a time. But with the fisheye, you can kind of see down the lane a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I mean I liked, but I'm a simp for just like creative shots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it might not be like perfectly executed, but like it works for me because I like that kind of stuff. I'm sick of seeing the same shot over and over and over.
Yeah, for sure. It was funny. I was watching with my friends, and she gets like secondhand social anxiety from watching stuff, and she was a mess this entire movie. She like couldn't handle it, and like I understand that. I was vibing. I enjoyed it because like for me, it's like I get that from live content. If somebody's like messing up on a live thing, I get like super anxious. But I'm like, it's scripted. It'll all end fine.
I think the fact that it's set in a different country helps.
I agree. Me. It really helps. Yeah.
Like, but that scene at like the family barbecue in the backyard is just, and he gets on aux and it's all of his sad boy music. He's down
so
bad.
Great.
It's awesome.
Also, did you catch
being super uncomfortable at that for sure?
Did you catch the big cameo in that movie?
Was it Hugh Grant?
Colin Firth.
Whatever. Same thing.
Yeah. But my one friend caught that, and I didn't notice it. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was. I was like, another one of those moments where I'm like, is that? It wasn't Hugh Grant, but I knew who it was. I just didn't
close.
Know
Him and Colin Firth are pretty close. I'll give it to you.
They're interchangeable enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't he.
He's the burrito guy.
Yeah, and isn't his name like Colin or something?
I don't remember actually. I don't think it's Colin, but
I think there's like a tip to it. Or they're at what? It's the cafe is Love Guactually.
Yes.
Which is another nice tip in the cap.
I pegged the name, but then I didn't put two and two together with Colin Firth. So I just realized too, the other thing that makes it feel like Sorry to Bother You is his fucking friend who's the artist, the photographer.
Yeah.
Like that feels very Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah, definitely.
And
we know more about Jupiter than we know about the human mouth.
Yeah. And that end gallery, my friend was like, I didn't need to see that. And it's like, yeah, it's a bit much.
That one's mine. But
yeah, I definitely recommend Rye Lane, especially because it's so short,
Yeah, 82 minutes in and out, simple, rom-com, good time, funny,
Did you see the post-credit scene?
Was it it's like a blooper?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
That was great.
Yeah.
Stick around for the credits on that one.
I sticked around for the credits because the song that was playing during the credits was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned I love the score. I think Sampha was doing a few of the songs. He has just an amazing voice. So
yeah, that was great.
But yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, no, we were looking for someone to watch. I'm like, you know what? Perk recommended this movie that's short. Let's watch that.
hella short.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good selling point.
Definitely. What did you watch this week?
I had to go into work on Saturday morning.
Oof.
And I got out of work at about 9:30, and I was like, all right, I got nothing to do. I'm going to go over to the mall. I'm going to go see a 10:30 a.m. showing of the Mario movie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not very good. Like, as a movie, there's just nothing there. As a string of references that I ate up, perfect.
That's what I'm saying. The references are so good.
The whole movie is pretty much just like, all right, we need to string together set pieces so that we can go to DK Jungle, so we can go to Rainbow Road, you know?
Yeah.
The plot is nothing. Pretty much ineffectual. It matters almost nothing at all. The animation is really good, aside from the normal people are just like prototype Illumination normal people animation, which I was like, oh yeah, that's right, this is who's making this movie.
Yeah, sent the dog too is like the classic Illumination dog.
Yeah, but no, I thought all the voice acting was good enough. What
about Fred Armisen? Are you with me on Armisen that it just didn't fit?
It definitely could have been better if it was like, it had to be like an old guy. Yeah, not Fred Armisen pretending to be an old guy. Mm-hmm. But and also I wasn't entirely sold because Keegan-Michael Key is Toad, right?
Yeah,
but it's like vocoded, so it's much higher.
It's debatable if that's actually true or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it sounded a lot higher pitched.
There's probably a little bit of juice on it, but he was doing he can do like a pretty good Toad voice, just straight up.
Fair enough. I thought it would have been funny if it was literally just Keegan-Michael Key's voice on Toad, but no, Jack Black was funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think his songs were pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad they gave Jack Black some songs as Bowser. I think my suspicions were correct. This is it's a Mario movie, and if you're, elderly like we are, and you love Mario, all the references are just awesome.
Yeah.
But from a comedic standpoint, there's really nothing to dig into. It is very, very child friendly, and in this case, I mean that in a bad way.
What about the Luma though? The Luma is doing pretty hardcore dark humor.
The exception was the Luma was amazing. I freaking loved the sadistic Luma. That was the only time in the movie I actually laughed. I think part of it too was I was pretty tired, and there's not too much going on most of the movie, so I was nice in my nice super recliner or whatever they got. I was able to stay awake. It was not. I've only fallen asleep at a movie one time, by the way. Fun fact. It was The Post, which was a garbage Oscar bait flick with Meryl Streep about when the head of, I think it was the Washington Post, would make sense, had to decide whether or not to release it was like the papers that proved there were missiles in Cuba or something.
Yeah. There were some. Yeah.
It was awful. It was Meryl Streep standing around pensively for 2.5 hours. I literally fell asleep in the theater. But yeah, this was this was not that close. I was never actually asleep. But.
I mean, I feel like it's worth saying, just the music. I think the music was incredible. How they incorporated all of the video game songs.
By far, the best part of the movie was the original score. I think that the licensed music is okay.
Yeah, it didn't really fit always.
No, it was good enough. Like when they played. Funky Kong who picks them up at the door? It's
not Funky Kong. It's some random Kong that we don't know. Yeah,
wearing a sport coat.
Should have been Funky Kong.
Yeah, it should have been. But that type of music, when they're just doing like 80s synth pop type stuff. Yeah, I'm in for it. I Need a Hero was kind of Take on Me. Yeah. Perfect. I Need a Hero was a little meh.
That song is so overused now. Someone needs to make a new song that has the word hero in it, because that song is just always the go-to and so overused.
But the actual original score, I don't know who the composer was, but his take on I'm just forgetting the name, but his take on the the original Mario music is so good. It's like, what if we made this just into a cinematic, like, what if we just cinematify the Mario score? And it's perfect. It's by far the best part of the movie for me.
Yeah, so the music was by, I don't know, so Koji Kondo is the original composer. I don't know if he was also involved, but then Brian Tyler.
Brian Tyler, yep.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think what he did was incredible, especially the Invincibility Star at the end. That track was just fucking sick.
So good.
So yeah, I think that's definitely like worth seeing if you're a Mario fan, see this movie. If you're not a Mario fan,
you're a Mario
see
fan, see this movie. Also, they kicked, the reason I went to see it is because they kicked the streaming release down the road. They literally said indefinitely, and I'm like, all right, I'll go see it.
Yeah.
And it's worth seeing on the big screen because the animation is really good.
Yeah.
And you'll be in and out in 90 minutes, which is always a bonus.
So I have to ask now, Perk, this movie's making Buca Dolores, right? What do you want the next Nintendo movie to be?
I'm going to pretend like I'm thinking very hard about this, but like obviously Zelda.
Yeah.
100% Zelda. But the trouble is, I don't want them to make a Zelda movie if it's as kiddie as this movie was, you know?
Yeah. Unless it's like a Link's Awakening. Like,
sure.
Because that's like,
or like Wind Waker. Yeah. That kind of thing too it'd be okay.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the style they go for. But like if they're doing like a Ocarina of Time as a movie or something like that, you got to lean into the more mature themes, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that's a slam dunk. I don't know when it'll happen or if it'll happen, but I would love to see a Metroid movie.
That'd be great as well.
That would have to be also more dark and not as kiddie, but I think that'd be just sick because Metroid is just freaking cool.
And I think honestly, like, do more with Mario. I think.
Oh yeah.
Like a Mario, they could do something with Mario Galaxy. It'd be hard, or like Mario Odyssey would be perfect. It's literally called Odyssey. Just tell a spanning story of Mario adventuring through a world. They do tease it a little bit.
They do. They tease Odyssey and Galaxy.
Yeah, and they have like a Yoshi cameo, although I kind of wish Yoshi were around.
Yeah, he'll be there in the second one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but we're gonna get more because my God, it is cleaning up and it's gonna continue to clean up. I think for a few more weeks.
Oh yeah, it's one of those. It's filling a vacuum because there's not much at the theater that people are dying to see. Like the biggest release recently is Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah,
not quite the same audience as Super Mario Brothers.
Sisu.
Yeah, Sisu also. Like you can't go to that with the fam.
Yeah, for sure. I got one other kind of half review. And don't get mad at me, all right? But I just rewatched an anime I like. Okay.
That's allowed. You're allowed to do that.
I just, I was in the mood for it. So I rewatched the first half of Jujutsu Kaisen because season 2 is coming out in July, I believe. And it's so good, man. I won't go too long on it, but I think when I first watched it, I mostly liked it because the action is really good. It's MAPPA. I mean, they're the goats right now in animation. The action's really good, and the music's really good, and the humor is pretty solid. And it's essentially just like modern Naruto, which is Naruto like set in like 2022. But on the rewatch, I think there's a lot more depth there, and I'm just really looking forward to seeing more of it soon. And I think it is a little bit underrated as an anime. So if you haven't seen it and you like shonen, check out Jujutsu Kaisen for sure.
Is that your last? Do you have more?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Okay, I'll slide in a smidge of a bonus,
okay,
just because you had recommended it. But I caught up to the episode 6 of Ted Lasso.
Ooh,
I'm still one behind, but goodness me, you were right.
Yeah.
Episode 6 is so good.
It's so good. Like that's the episode I needed.
It's easy. It easily slots in as one of my favorites of the series, up there with like the Christmas episode. And I think it kind of reminded me of Beard After Dark a little bit.
I think I liked it. I actually told my friend I liked it way better than Beard After Dark. Beard After Dark didn't work for me.
I really liked Beard After Dark, but I know I'm in the minority on that one, and that's fine.
Yeah, I think I like Beard when he's with other characters. When he's by himself, I don't like him that much.
Sure, fair enough.
But no, yeah, it was to me like an improved Beard After Dark, and I think all the storylines were just perfect.
And there was resolution on what we had talked about earlier, and I think it was a really good scene.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. But yeah, just basically the whole team gets a night off in Amsterdam, and They decide what to do with it. I am a little mad that the team didn't go see Martin Garrix.
Dude, that was such a funny name drop. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That was cool.
My cousin. I was hoping they would go and then there would be a cameo, but that would have been a little goofy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm also behind because my friend I watch it with, who they have Apple TV Plus, is going to be out of town for the foreseeable future. So I have to wait now until the season ends to then watch the last 4 episodes, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So you'll get ahead of me, I'm sure.
We'll see.
Yeah. But Ted Lasso, I'm hoping it'll end. Like, now we have episode 5 and 6. I'm like, okay, we're in a good setup here.
I think it's definitely gearing up. It's gearing up well.
Yeah. So it'll be good. But there we go. That is our show for this week. It is now time to reveal what we're watching next week. So we did a Chinese movie string. Now it's time to go to a different country in Asia. We're going to India, baby, because we both love RRR. We want to see more movies out of India. This first one we're watching, Perk found a connection, and it's like, sometimes we got to do this, all right?
It is a stretch. Past this, I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but we're going to try our best.
Honestly, I thought we were going to just give up, but we found a way in, okay? So we watched the movie 310 to Yuma a while ago. And that movie was our friend Ben Foster. We're a fan. He was in a movie called The Machinist. Who was The Machinist directed by? Chad Stahelski, also the John Wick guy. Chad Stahelski had a cameo in Matrix Resurrections, a.k.a. Matrix 4, a.k.a. a bad movie. Who was also in Matrix Resurrections? Priyanka Chopra, a.k.a. Priyanka Chopra Jonas. And the movie that she is in that we're going to watch is called The Sky is Pink. And that is on Netflix. So next time we're watching The Sky is Pink on Netflix, starring Priyanka Chopra Jonas. Perk, are you excited?
I am. I got to correct you, though. Chad Stahelski was in The Machinist.
Oh, he was in The Machinist. Sorry. I assumed
he did not direct it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, obviously that's a very important thread on our connection here.
Well, there we go. So yeah, next week, The Sky is Pink, and we hope you watch it along with us. But until then, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye.